this computer. Fantastic. All right, so where are we at? We are catching up with the work that we began in the spring, and this fall session really took quite a ways down the field. And so you guys didn't quite get as much as this fall session did on Enneagram stuff. And so a lot of what we did last week was dive back into that so that we have the same working knowledge that at least this fall session has, so that when it comes to writing this journey story, you'll be more effective and feel less like the heck is going on, okay? But just let me give you the quick nugget again, just to give perspective on the work we're doing. So, as Christians, we believe that the big story of the Bible, the big story of what God is up to, and therefore the big story of like all things, is that God is taking all things, including us, on a journey from formlessness to formed, from unhealth to health, from where we are to where we can be, who we can be, what we can be, okay? There's movement. There's movement in the story. And our work, my work, as someone who works at a church, our work together as the church is, go ahead and mute your mics, guys, is to help one another to connect to that story so that you might go on that journey more intentionally over the course of your life, in your relationships, in the stuff that you do, so that you might continually move more towards the best version of you that God has in mind, okay? Now, when we do this work, it affects all kinds of stuff. It affects your relationship with yourself, your own self-image. It affects your relationship with your family, for sure. It affects your relationship with your friends. It helps you to understand why you interact with the activities that you do in the way that you do. It helps you to understand how you get stuck sometimes. It helps you to understand how you get unstuck. And so it's super important content. And my hope today is that how to access the real working, mechanism of all this stuff is going to get really, really clear. So to that end, I need two really brave people who would like to, or people who just want to like get this journey story more or less knocked out tonight, who want to let me workshop your story with this whole group so that everybody knows how the heck to do this. Can I get two people? Preferably different types. I will walk you through, like a Mad Lib, the journey story.
You can do mine.
Right? Yeah, one. One more. Preferably a gal. Come on now. One more. One more. You can do it.
You can do mine.
All right, Carlac. Beautiful. All right, here we go. I'm going to share my screen with you guys real quick. Let's see here. Journey story outline. No, not that. I got moved here. All right, there we go. All right. So you should see before you the journey story outline. This is what you are going to follow as you write your journey story that you will share for the group on celebration day. Now, two things about that. You can certainly Mad Lib your way through this thing. Totally fine. However, number two, it'd be great for some style points. If you would like to really shape this in a sort of narrative format, in a story format, like I'm beginning here, making this journey and transformation to here. Would also love to hear that. And I guess bonus number 3, I will be looking for a couple of people to share their journey story in the online version of church that will air on November 22nd. So keep that in mind. All right, who would like to go first? Kenny or April?
I can go.
Bam, bam. She's quick. All right, April, what's your type?
3.
Hey, perfect. Man, we're gonna crush this one. All right. So as you begin your journey story and tell it to the group, it's going to be, you will stand up where you're at on the Zoom, and you'll say, hi, my name is April Kolak to all the people, and this is my journey story. So blah, 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 blah. As a type 3 on the Enneagram, my childhood message is, do you have a sense of what yours is, April?
What is that?
All right, so childhood message for an Enneagram 3. So if you guys remember.
Oh, is it the thing that you did last week?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, so just let me reference this thing one more time so that everyone knows what I'm talking about. This packet with 16 pages long because of the affirmations and release statements. But on here, you will find all of the things that you need to know in order to fill out this journey story you're preparing for the celebration, okay? And you should have that in your email. Now, let me get back to that. Boom. Okay, so April, what's your childhood message?
Mine is you are loved for simply being you.
That's core longing. What's your childhood message? The negative one.
Oh, is it in the email?
Yep.
Okay, I'll look.
All right, so it's right.
Where does it say it in the email?
Oh, so it's in the attachment you should have. So it's right here.
Yeah, I have it.
Our childhood message. Our parents, teachers, authority figures may have directly communicated this message to us, but most of the time we interpreted this message, what they said or did, through the lens of our personality type. For type 3, your childhood message is this: it's not okay to have your own feelings and identity. Now, for the rest of you, if you've got a pen and paper, if you got a pen and paper with you right now or your laptop, fill this stuff out. Why not? When we're all here doing it together. It's not okay to have your own feelings and identity. Let's go ahead and pop out of there, back into here. Boom. So when I believe that, my core motivations kick in. And then, well, begs the question, what are the core motivations for a 3? So in that super colorful reply email that you got after you took your test, you'll find your core motivations as a 3. So if you've got that handy, so all of you should have that email somewhere in your inbox. So just in case you don't, April, I've got yours right here. So a 3's core motivations are this. 3's core desire is having high status and respect, being admired, successful, and valuable. A 3's core fear is being exposed as, or thought incompetent, inefficient, or worthless, failing to be or appear successful. So core desire is what you're shooting for. Core fear is like, what if it doesn't happen? Core weakness of a 3 is deceit. Deceiving yourself into believing that you are only the image you present to others. Embellishing the truth by putting on a polished persona for everyone, including yourself, to see and admire. So, As a type 3 in the Enneagram, my childhood message is it's not okay to have my own feelings and identity. When I believe that, my core motivations kick in. So that core desire, core fear, core weakness. Now, what you'll do here is begin to name those things kind of in your life. So when have you noticed yourself really desiring having high status, or really wanting to be admired or respected or successful or valuable? Has that happened in
Do
your
I,
school? Yeah, go ahead.
oh, like in school and sports?
So tell me a little bit about how you feel when there's a possibility that you won't be. So
Like scared, I don't know.
there's some scare there, fear there. I feel fear when there is a possibility I may not appear to be as good as I want people to think I am. This is a section where that feeling wheel would be helpful. April, can you think of another time when that core fear has cropped up, either in a relationship or at school, sports?
Like a specific time?
Yeah,
Um, like, I don't know, like during tryouts, you want to be the best that you can be.
and then, you could talk about how that makes you feel, right? We're telling a story. So core weakness for a 3 is deceit. It's different for each type, right? And deceit for a 3 means deceiving yourself into believing that you are only the image you present to others, embellishing the truth by putting on a polished persona for everyone, including yourself, to see and admire. So thinking about these two situations that you just described, so like, you want people to notice that you're good at school and in sports, you go into tryouts and you feel super stressed out. Like, have you ever felt the need to put on a face or a fake persona, or to, you know what I'm saying?
Um, I guess like, oh, I don't know. In school, like if I'm not doing well in a class or something, I feel like I need to like pretend like I'm doing good at it so I can get better.
Yeah, that's a very 3 thing to do, right? Or in a situation in school, have you ever found yourself when you're struggling, but you'll wait to see if other people are struggling? They'll tell you maybe how they're struggling, but then you'll be like, I think I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? It's weird. But then, like,
Yeah, like on tests.
yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're looking for, right? That as a 3, that's self-deception and deceiving others, right? Into thinking that we're something that we're not, even though we know we're not. So let me write that up. Sometime when I'm sharing test results with friends, I feel the need to that I did better than I really did because I want them to think I'm smart. Right? So when I get fixated on these core motivations, I start to see the release statements for my type 3. So do you guys know where those affirmations and release statements are? Could you find those on that packet that I sent you guys? Hmm. So as a
Oh, I
three,
found the release statement.
all right, so there should be some release statements there. Are there any of those that maybe connect to some of the things we've kind of talked about already, or some others that, you kind of identify with?
Um, well, probably like holding myself and others to impossible standards.
Now, is this for a
Is
type?
that the release statements or are those the,
Yeah, let me
oh,
check
that
it.
was, okay, I found them. Never mind.
All right, that's
Okay.
type 1.
Yeah, I was reading the wrong one. Okay. Um,
Just so everyone knows, these are the release
oh,
statements and affirmation
okay.
statements. Type 2 and type 3 and so on, right?
Okay, the feeling that I must conceal my mistakes and limitations.
Sorry, I have to do my truth thing because if not, I can't get confirmed.
What's that?
I said
Oh.
feeling that I must conceal my mistakes and limitations.
Yeah.
Is that the release
Yeah.
statement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it something that you connect with?
Yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Here, let me jump back over there. Let me add that in. Ah! Oh, go away. Undo. Sometimes Word is just special. So sometimes I feel the need to conceal my mistakes. What was the rest of that line? I can't remember it all.
Oh, and limitations.
And if you want to, what you can do there is you can go on and describe that, like a specific situation. And what we're trying to do with this stuff, guys, is talk about like where we are when we are stuck, so that you're aware of it and you can like have a place to start from and leave and progress from, but also so that the people that care about you know how you need help sometimes. One of the real big problems we have is we hope that people can read our minds, that they know exactly what's going on in our hearts all the time. They don't. People are notoriously bad at reading the mind. And so here's a great opportunity as you read through those release statements to share with them, those places in your life where you get stuck, and to give some specific examples. Are there any other of those release statements, April, that stick out to you?
Oh, maybe either like betraying my own integrity to get the admiration of others or the craving constant attention and affirmation.
Yeah, the betraying my own integrity to get the admiration of others is a big struggle for a lot of threes. And so what that would look like, I don't know, for me anyway, is in this election season, maybe I'll find myself with someone who believes differently politically than I do, but I won't call them on it because I want them to like me, right? I won't say I think that is ridiculous that you think that, because I want them to like me, betray my own integrity, right? And threes do that all the time so that people won't reject us. So you could share a story about, this is something that sometimes happens. This is a story about it happening in my life. Does anybody have any questions up to this point? So this will be the first part of the story that you share with the group on Celebration Day. All right. Any questions? Anything that I can clear up for you? Please, 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 please ask. We're good. Kind of getting the flow of things. So you are the protagonist in this story. Every great movie, book you've ever experienced in your life, that protagonist has some crap to get through, right? You got to solve some problems in their life. These are the problems in your life, in your movie. Okay. Now, let's continue to move ahead. So, and every great story's got a great but in it. When I begin to believe my core longing, or the gospel for my own type, what is the three's core longing? April, can you find that over in the packet? Or else I can find it quick.
I'm at the I now release, I now affirm part. Is it before or after that?
Go up. Yep. All the way up.
Okay.
Page 3. Something like that.
Oh, core longing.
Yeah.
Is this the one where, well, no. I found the childhood message again and the gospel for each type.
Yep, there you go. Gospel for each type. In that
Oh,
one.
that's what it is?
Yep.
So it's you are loved for simply being you?
Bam, there it is. When I believe my core longing, the gospel for my type, that I'm loved for simply being me, I start to embrace my type in health, and I begin to see more of the affirmation statements for my type. Statements like, now we can zip back down to the affirmation statements. We're going to start talking about where we want to go in our story. Like every great protagonist has a vision for how they want the future to be. Their future self, the future of the world, the future of whatever. Your affirmation statements are that for your type. Okay. So are there any affirmation statements? And often we're looking for ones just for coherence in this story we're telling people that kind of flow out of those releases that you mentioned earlier. So if you can, try to find one that's an opposite.
Would one be that I develop my true talents by accepting who I am?
Yeah. Yeah. So for example, April, I don't know if this is true for you, but the gal that I have in the 8 a.m. Sunday session, gymnast who walked away from the sport, she had gotten into such a spiral of blaming other people when competitions didn't go well, that conflict pushed her out of gymnastics. She didn't love it anymore. And what was really tragic about that was that there isn't much of a world outside of the competitive sides of gymnastics or dance or any other sports. I mean, anymore, it's really dialed into, if you want to do these things, then you got to be part of this competitive thing. But like, she was able to find a place where she could do gymnastics for fun, for what they do for her heart and not for a judge. And that was how she developed her true talents, by accepting who she was. She accepted, like, I love gymnastics, but I am not a super duper competitor. That's not my thing. It doesn't give me life. And so that's how it worked out in her story. How do you think it might work out in your story?
I maybe like, well, in school, like I used to be really good at math, but now I'm realizing that like it's harder than what it used to be. And so like I don't like it as much anymore. I don't know, I feel like the sport example doesn't really apply to me.
Okay.
Because I don't know, I like competing in sports.
Now, sorry to the other types who are not threes, this is something you can't copy. This isn't the kind of work that you'll be doing in yours. And so in these affirmations, in these releases, you can use as many as you want. Definitely try to use, 2, so we actually have something to work with and to listen to, but you can use all of them if you want. Just depends on how much you want to work through.
Oh, actually, I did think of a sport example. Well,
Okay.
sort of. So I started playing golf this summer, and I like to like go to the driving range or like play for fun, but I don't like to like compete like and go play in a golf tournament with like my brother or something. But I like to play just for fun.
Boom. There you go. And you know what? For some of you that may be in something like a situation like this, when you tell this to your parents, when you tell them, hey, I like to do this thing for fun and not for competition, for some parents to hear that is mind-bending information. They're like, oh my God, I never knew, right? And sometimes, and especially as a parent, like when you think about what it costs, like for putting a kid through sports anymore. For example, Jess Olson, our children's ministry director, was telling me that it costs $10,000 to do hockey in Edina a year. $10,000. And so when it became evident that her boys like to do it for fun, maybe outside of that system, she was like, all right, this makes sense. We can do this. So anyway, believe it or not, you will be teaching your parents and the people around you about you, things that they don't know. And that's awesome. All right, so April, as you flesh this out here, these affirmation statements and where you want to go in health compared to where you started out at in your releases, feel free to give, think about your audience. Like, it's your parents that are hearing this. Like, what do they need to know? Like, what do you hope that they know about you and where you want to go, right? If you had one shining moment to tell them what they needed to know, what would it be? And so talk about what this looks like in your relationships. So what would it mean to your parents if you did this just for fun and not for competition? What would it mean in your emotional world if you did this for fun and not for competition? Like, this could be actually something that is peace bringing, joy bringing, connecting to other people instead of anxiety and pressure and all this kind of stuff. If you work, what would it bring to your work, to your school? How would it change your relationship to your school and sports? Now, in order to continue to believe the gospel for my type, I'll use the tools that God has given me. And April, I'll run you through this so that we have time to get to Kenny. Now, as I mentioned last week, the Bible is full of two kinds of things. It is full of testimonies, stories about people that are moving from formlessness to formed or the opposite way, and wisdom. So sort of timeless truths to help you on your journey, right? Now, there are stories in the Bible that I think connect to a three. Jacob, he was a serial liar, deceiver, who's always trying to be someone else, somebody else, anything but who he was. His greatest moment of personal growth was when he finally accepted who God needed him to be. So you guys can find a story that connects to your story, right? Similarly, as you think about the emotions that get wrapped up in your type, in the descriptions of it, go to your feeling wheel if you need help. But go ahead into Bible Gateway or into Google and look for Bible verses about blah, 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 anxiety, anger, resentment, all those kinds of things. You'll find results. And so in this Bible section, you would say, I really want to pay attention to this or that story. And I also want to keep as a memory verse this verse so that I can make sure that I'm growing effectively or something. Church community. Talk about how you want people to support you. Like April, that might mean I really want to have a small group of girls that I meet with every week that really knows me and can hold me accountable, call me out when I'm not being who I am, right? Be a great way to do that. Your parents are part of your church community, okay? Baptism. In baptism, we remember that we're a child of God, that God calls us child, and it trumps every single other designation that we have in our lives. It's a touchstone that we can come back to whenever we feel far from that reality. How might that affect you, right? How might that impact your journey? Communion. In communion, we gather with the rest of the church to celebrate what God gives us that we can't manufacture on our own. And for a 3 who is constantly running this race to try to be somebody in the world, to know that God gives us love and an identity no matter what, huge. Remember that in communion. Prayer, what will your prayer life be like? So as a 3, one of the things that I do in my prayer life every single day is I ask God to give me the courage to accept who I am as I am. That sets the trajectory for my day. So April, does that help you out?
Yeah, should I take pictures of this or are you gonna send this to me?
You want to screenshot that?
Yeah, I'm gonna screenshot it.
Yeah, go for it. There you go.
There, I got it.
Right. All right, Kenny. Let's do it to it, man. We got to fly through this thing. Any questions before we get to Kenny's story? See a lot of you in the chat, whipping chat messages around. So if there's anything that you think will help everyone, Larson, do tell. All right. Let me make a new one of these. Oh my God, why can't I make this same thing work? All right. So, Kenny, what type are you?
I'm type 2.
Fantastic. All right, Kenny, what is your childhood message?
It's not okay to have your own needs.
When I believe that, my core motivations kick in. And then I notice, what are the kinds of things, what are the kinds of desires that you're chasing after? What are the kinds of fears that manifest in your life? And what are the kinds of weaknesses that you struggle with?
Just like that it's my fault when people don't like me, and like I have to do something to earn other people's like love and trust. And
What else?
Is this just like belief statement sort of?
Well, so core motivations. So let's think about this for a 2. 1 second, let me get there real quick. So a type 2's core desire is being appreciated, loved, and wanted. How do you see yourself striving to be appreciated, loved, and wanted in your life? How do you see yourself doing that? Your sisters could help you out. Sure.
Yeah. I just feel like I have to be perfect in every way to like, I always have to be perfect, and that if I'm not, then I'm like failing and other people won't appreciate me.
So, I mean, that must really bring you to a place where just have some negative emotions surrounding that. Like your core fear as a 2 is being rejected and unwanted, like being thought worthless, right? Like, what is that like in your life?
Well, just I notice when I'm like not perfect and like when I'm believing my childhood message, I get sort of like isolated and sort of shut off from other people.
You ever deal with like significant amount of resentment, anger towards people who you feel don't appreciate you?
I mean, yeah, I guess I get angry at people. I wouldn't say it's like I get super mad at them. I just get sort of disappointed on why they wouldn't like me.
Sure. All right. So core weakness. So one of the things that 2s often do in order to get people to like them is that they anticipate those people's needs and then they meet them. And so like often in sisters, you can confirm this. is Kenny good at anticipating, is he helpful?
Yeah.
Probably extraordinarily helpful, right?
Mhm.
Now, oftentimes, that's fantastic, but sometimes Kenny's using his helpfulness in order to gain love, in order to gain value in other people's like connection. Now, the problem is sometimes for twos, they get kind of out of whack, is they'll feel like they know what's good for you better than you know what's good for you. Like he'll think he knows the solution to your problems better than you know the solution to your problems. Right? Does that ever
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, no, I know what you need to do. This is what you have to do. Right?
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, so Kenny, that would be something that I would talk about. And
Yeah.
just to help you talk about that.
Uh-huh.
So when you start to get fixated on these core motivations, like chasing your desire, living out of your weakness, fleeing from your fear, you start to see release statements. Can you find those release statements for a two?
Yeah.
What are some of those that you connect with?
The all attempts to force others to love me.
Yeah.
And then probably the fear that I'm unwanted and unloved.
Now, to know that he is wrestling with that fear sometimes, like despite how he might present himself to you, knowing that's got to like change the game, doesn't it? Just a little,
Yeah.
right? Like you can maybe imagine the way that, like if someone felt that in their heart, how they might behave or like react to some things. Like if they felt that despite what they were doing, they still weren't earning like love and attention. Like, can you like feel how over time that might be really difficult for someone? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of dynamic, Kenny, that, and everybody, as you're describing these releases, I want you to bring people into your pain. Like, not for pity's sake, but so they can empathize and stand in your shoes. Because when they're able to do that, they're able to know better how to walk with you. So, when I begin to believe my core longing, the gospel for my type, and what is that for a two?
The what?
So a core longing.
Oh, what is the core longing? Here, I don't know what my core longing is.
I got it for you.
Okay.
Wanted and loved.
Okay.
I start to embrace my type in health and begin to see more of the affirmation statements for my type. What are some of those affirmation statements that you're connecting with in light of these other two releases that you talked about?
That I am lovable for who I am.
Yeah. And I would want you to talk about like what that feels like, what it looks like, how it works. Like really, give me your best pitch on your preferred future reality about yourself. What next?
That my happiness is not dependent on pleasing others.
This is good stuff. Yeah. And I would, in a similar way, talk about what that feels like, what it looks like, how it works, where you want to see this happening, what relationships you want to see this happening in. Like, help us to understand where you want to go, because when we know that, we can help you get there. Right? That's the power of this journey story. Now, in order to believe the gospel for my type, and I'll take the wheel from here. So in the Bible, there is a story where Jesus is meeting with some friends of his, Mary and Martha, and one of the ladies wants to just serve and serve and serve and serve and serve. And the other one is like, no, I want to be in the presence of Jesus. And the other gal is like, what are you doing? Don't you know who we have at dinner? And the lady's like, yeah, it's Jesus. And Jesus is like, yeah, she's kind of right. Like, I feel like that's a story for twos, because sometimes as a two, like you get so spun up in like trying to meet people's needs that you actually miss the need, like the moment. You miss relationships. But also, like, there's plenty of stories throughout the Bible of people who feel as though they're unlovable, and who come to find out. The prodigal son, like, he goes away and screws stuff up, and he's like, his whole inner monologue going back home is like, my dad's never gonna love me again. But he does, runs after him, puts a robe around him, ring on his finger, kills a fatted calf. That could be a story. There's tons of wisdom about self-love in the Bible. There's tons of wisdom about not manipulating others. Church community, you've got a ball and small group. Like, you are blessed beyond measure to have Art Key that's your leader. The dude's solid. He's a good guy. Talk about how you want your group to support you. Baptism, as a 2, 3, 2s, 3s, and 4s, baptism is kind of easy to connect with as a touchstone. Like, how will remembering that you're a child of God be significant as a 2? It's significant for all of those moments in my life as a 2 when I don't feel as though I've earned the love, respect, and admiration of other people. It helps me to remember that it doesn't matter if I do. It's great if I did. It doesn't matter if I do, because God loves me first. Communion is a moment where you can remember that God's giving you all that you could ever possibly need. And prayer, one of the desires that you mentioned to me is that you're constantly trying to earn people's love and respect. Well, what if you ask God to be okay with the love and respect that people give you, and not make it such a big headliner in your life? That, I think, would be life-changing. So that is more or less how you do a journey story. All right. So, like, let us into your life. Let us into the journey. Okay. Now, next thing I need to shake. Where did that go? Okay, there it is. The celebration. Here's where this stuff is going to fit in context. I'm going to share this. There it is. All right. So this is the service. Let me go to this. So you guys are going to be in a room with your family, and whoever else wants to join you, socially distanced. Don't spread the Rona, please. I will welcome you all with your microphones muted. Hi, everybody. This is confirmation. Tell everyone a little bit about what the heck we're doing is, and then we're going to do a responsive prayer at the beginning. You guys will say the congregation. Everyone in your house will. I'll say the Jason parts, because that's me. And then I'll do one reading. And this is a reading many of you could possibly tap into. John 12 is fantastic. And then the first part of your story comes in this confession portion. All confession is when we tell God and the people that love us the most how we're stuck. So it's going to be that first part of your story up through the releases. Okay. Then we're going to move into forgiveness. And we're going to do a little bit of a kind of a call and response-y kind of a thing. And then you guys will talk about the second half of your story. Then we'll do an affirmation of baptism. This is where you're going to dip your finger in some water, make the sign of the cross on your forehead, say, I'm a child of God, seal by the Holy Spirit, mark the cross of Christ forever. Now, these ceremonies, these services, take a potty break before you start, okay? Especially the Saturday at 4 and the Sunday. There's one on Sunday. It's going to be at least 90 minutes. I'm just saying it. And because everyone's going to get to share their story. Then we're going to go through the promises. Everyone's going to make promises. I'll walk you guys through those. I'm going to give you guys this guide that'll come out as an email. We're going to receive you guys into this next part of your journey. I'm going to pray for you one more time. And then I'm going to say you're free. Get out of here. Are there any questions about what you need to do next? how to do it, what to expect for the ceremony, or anything else.
What did you say the halfway point is of the story?
Yep. So after you describe your life and your release statements, like the stuckness part, there.
Okay.
Yep. Everything before the but. But when, it's like that key change. Anything else?
Do we need to like send you our journey stories before we get confirmed, like email them to you?
Not unless you want me to take a look at them.
Okay.
And if you want me to take a look at your journey story and help you run through it or clear it up or whatever, send it my way. I'll add some comments or whatever and throw some advice and whatever. But please, for the love of God, don't send me that at 9 o'clock the night before. I do sleep. So give me a few days to do that. Also, I am, again, just to reiterate, looking for someone that is willing to share theirs on video for the November 22nd service. Anybody else?
Yeah, so for the online thing, are we gonna all of us gonna be sharing our story?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That's why it's going to take so freaking long. But I will say, and you just need to let me know, like I have had kids in the past who have had, real struggle with anxiety. And for them, this is a debilitating thing to think about. I'm not forcing anybody to go deeper into their releases. Okay. So this is meant to help, not hurt you. Anybody else? Awesome. It's gonna be great. I'm super pumped. Let me know if you have any questions. Your parents should have my email address, and just give me an opportunity to respond and to add comments to your stuff. Alrighty? All right, make sure your parents get on the Zoom in 5 minutes.